Welcome to the show. How are you tonight? How am I looking on your end?
Good.
Good? Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
All right, I
No,
was
no
worried about.
static, no nothing.
All right, good. All right, so we'll go until the others join us. But welcome to tonight's show, the Pet Pro Educators. Right now, you got me, Derry. You got Melissa. Ooh, that way, one of those ways. We are like the Brady Bunch.
And Vogue. That's all.
Yeah, I like Vogan better than the Brady Bunch. That's a good one.
Yeah.
So if you are new to the show, if you have not been here before, if you're watching live or later on, please give StreamYard and Facebook permission so that we can see your names. We are streaming on 9 platforms today, and so you might be watching on a different permission so that we can see your.
Oh, sorry. As my phone automatically opened up the thing, I was like, stop.
I was hearing myself in the background.
Yeah.
Yes. So you might be watching on a different platform than other people. So we will try to keep up with all the comments, all the questions, so that everyone watching on all the other platforms will know where you're at and where we're at. We are wrapping up this month's employee-employer chatter and building a better team. So the last night, let's see, recap. We have talked about employees. We have talked about employers. We have talked about, refresh me here. I'm drawing a brain dull right now. Education and how we educate our employees versus how they help their employers get educated as well. So we've talked a lot about different things, building your team, promoting your team, what you do to bring the best from your team, and how you get them to operate and function for your levels. And it's tough. It's not easy in our industry. It's a tough job. And it's a lot of burnout.
So independent. Yeah, I think because we're so, just such independent people, even as employees, we still want to maintain some semblance of independence, And that's, I think, leads into tonight's chat, which is our, rights and, about what the difference is.
Rights. Yeah, I was thinking along the lines of, I'm trying to get all the glare. I hate the glare on my glasses.
I know mine has it too.
Yeah, it's pain. About, there's a lot of lines crossed and who's in charge and when the last set, so you have to have some structure, and and Michelle knows from being in the business with me the last year or so, and the magnitude of changes. And just now, again, we're going through another growing pain of a new person coming in and taking over and taking control and making it their own, because I can't. Yeah, at some point you got to step back and go, somebody else has got to do the job so I can run the business. And I've been trying to run everything, and now I got the people in place to do the jobs properly, but I got to let them make their decisions. They have to make it their own, and they have to be the ones to do it their way for it to be successful, because it can't be my way. I don't think it can be my way, because in the past it's shown my way hasn't been as strong and hasn't worked as well.
Well, I think that the hard part is not to micromanage, and that, you have your strengths, which are all that administrative stuff. I mean, all that paperwork and, doing all that kind of stuff. And so that is a key component of the success of a business. Right. But you also need to make sure that you have the time to devote to those things. And so you have to be able to have additional support staff that's managing the business and managing the employees and, doing all these other things. And so that way they can also delegate some of the other tasks And that frees
Yeah.
you up as a business owner to take care of the core things that keep that business afloat, open.
Alive. Yeah.
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 So
And
that's a super important thing.
so part of this comes to having there's a lot of states and a lot of groups. You see a lot, and I get a lot of emails every day about what's in your employee handbook. What do you
Oh
do?
yeah.
What is your, and my first thought to everyone is it doesn't matter what's in mine.
Right.
Oh, I Oh,
Oh,
okay.
there's
Let's see.
Lisa.
Lisa. Yeah, sorry. I'm looking because I posted welcome to the show tonight, and I'm like, what's Michelle doing way out there in Watcherland? Um,
Oh no.
yeah, so Lisa says it's a sign of a great leader. You know your people, you know their strengths, and to let them run it. Right. And finding those key people is really
Yeah.
difficult. But having said that, again, I go back to I get a lot of contacts. What do you do? How do you do it? It doesn't matter because what works for me and what's in my manual and what's in my handbook maybe shouldn't be in yours because you might run your stuff and do your things differently. And
Right.
if you're in a different state, it doesn't matter what's in mine because you need to make those employee handbooks work for your state, not
Yeah.
for your
Because
business,
you
by
right,
your state.
because why? What is the reason behind that? Because each state has different sets of
Labor
parameters for
laws.
what determines right labor laws
Yep.
that determine what you can and can't do with your employees or for your
Yep.
employees. And so that's why when they say, well, I'll just copy your handbook or give me that blueprint. Well, no, because
Yep.
you're in New Hampshire, that's not going to work the same for Arizona.
Nope, or California or New York
Right.
or
Or
Missouri, it doesn't matter. You have to know and go to your sources in your state.
But
Get
what do
it
you
from
think is a
somebody in your state.
core? What do you think is a core concept that that you want to make sure that you're including in things like handbooks, like that's kind of universal, that doesn't come down
Universal?
to state. Yeah, that doesn't come down to like state laws, but things like
Mhm.
like how you treat other people, or
Absenteeism.
right, absenteeism, and all those kind of things. Those are things
Yep.
that you have to kind of come up with yourself to create the atmosphere that you want, to create the culture you want within your business.
Right.
Because what works for you may not work for me.
Right. And for your business, depending on the number of hours you're working, how many shifts
Hours,
you're
yeah. How
scheduling,
many
your shop
people
is
you have?
smaller. How many people? Do you have a receptionist? Do you have bathers? Do you just have groomers? What's your function?
Right.
What are the jobs? Who's doing what? And it's come down to very little. You've just got to know and then take it a step further and understand the federal laws on top of that and make sure, yes, your state laws are going to be grasping, but you should still know the federal laws to make sure
Right.
that you're conforming to those, even though I'm pretty certain that state rules over federal because federal sets that bar. States can go at it or beyond it. So that's why you have to
Right.
know which your state laws. And that's not hard to get. You can go to your SCORE chapters. You can go to your um
Yeah,
you can go
where
to
do they
your
why don't we share that? Where do they get that information from, Dara? That's something that you should really let them know. Like if they want to put together their own labor law, like put together their own handbook, and they want to review their state labor laws and then
Mhm.
what the federal ones are. Where do they find that information at?
So besides going to a small business lawyer in your state who will look things over,
Okay.
and
Right.
that is first and foremost. I would say any business on a magnitude, if you have a couple employees or more, you should have a small business lawyer in retainer. just to protect yourself, you can find a local one, just somebody who does small business. Everyone thinks it's extremely expensive, but they only charge you if you take up their time. So you put a couple $1,000s down and you've got your lawyer on retainer. And that way, should something arise, you have a person to go to help.
Right.
A SCORE chapter, if you don't know what SCORE is, it's a small business chapter where a lot of retired CEOs and conglomerate business owners have come together. They've formed this organization and they give out free business advice. You have to join, you have to be active in it, but they'll sit down and it's a volunteer service from them. And they will help and talk you through these things, and they'll help write it, help look at it, and make sure they know for your state. And that's great because your city and town might have different laws than even the state. So
Right.
knowing each individual level is going to make you better. Your Chamber of Commerce is a great resource. And I know I've
Yep.
heard a lot of people say, oh, our chamber sucks, our chamber's this and that. Chambers are fantastic. Anybody who's involved in the chambers, those are paid memberships. Those are people who are looking to make connections.
Right.
They
That's a
are
wonderful
they
way to
are
network. Yeah.
not necessarily looking for you to promote their business, but they're looking to work with you. So small business lawyers are going to be part of your chamber. And because you're a member of the
Accountants
chamber,
and all those
yep,
kind of people that we need, bookkeepers, and
yep,
those are the people that you will encounter through
local chamber.
your local chamber, as well as like licensed real estate
Yep.
agents who could talk to you about real estate law, things like your lease, and
Hmm.
dealing with if you have a problem with your landlord. I mean, those are connections that are,
Huge.
huge, and are not going to cost you anything to talk to these people because you're networking with them.
Especially if you mingle at the events, you can pick their
Right.
brain
That's what I
there
mean.
when you're
Yeah.
at the events. That's
Yeah. If you
and
become active.
I have always found that I prefer the smaller chambers to the larger chambers in bigger
Right.
cities, because the larger chamber of commerce are promoting a much bigger picture, and they're
Right.
looking for the bigger companies because they have to cover more ground. But
Right.
that doesn't mean if you're in a large city, you can't join the chamber 10 minutes down the road from you. That might be 80, 90, 100 people.
And
And
that's
there's
such
your
a good
connections.
tidbit. That is such a good tidbit of information, because say you're in like a big city, like I'm just outside of Phoenix. So I could join the Phoenix, council, but I live in Mesa and I'm surrounded by Gilbert and Chandler, which are smaller municipalities around me. So if I join the smaller ones, I have a much better chance of actually networking with small businesses that are right within my backyard. Even
And
though,
your size.
yes,
That's the other
absolutely.
key, is finding a group of people to work and talk to that are your same size. And we all know groomers don't like talking to other groomers, but that doesn't mean you can't talk to other business owners that are
Right.
business and doing their own business at the same level and scale as you. They're a fantastic resource. I find I gravitate more towards business owners that are restaurant owners, um,
Right.
local restaurant owners, local boutiques, and smaller shops that are looking just to have a relationship with another. And we have there's the big new front of women run business leagues,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you can get involved in those. And a lot of those are more, I'm going to say, more professional titled organizations. So they're looking for women who are lawyers and doctors and major real estate agents and CEOs that are grouping together, and they're not looking for that everyday small business owner. So there's a line in some of these organizations, at least that I'm finding, just by
Right.
doing
But
research
I
on
guess
them.
it would depend on, well, and I guess it would also depend on what part of the country you're in,
Yeah,
and what part,
absolutely.
like where you are, what you're, if you're out in a more rural area, then, and you do find a woman small business group to join, it's going to, encompass whatever smaller businesses there are, because it's more rural. It's not a big conglomerate, city. So, I think that there's a lot of different places out there, and especially online. I mean, there's tons of things that you can join online even.
Yeah. One of my favorites I had when I was in Peterborough, had joined the Peterborough Women's Club, and it's the longest running women's club in the country. And their president at the time was one of our clients, and we got to be really friendly with her and joined, and they were fantastic to work with. Sent so much clients our way, had plenty of referrals. That organization, those women were so tight knit that it sparked the business and got the growth that I had in Peterborough was extensive because of the relationships that I kindled in that. And I was also on the board of director for 4 years for our Chamber of Commerce there as well, and a very active role in that for the community. So small community
there's a lot to be said for that. And it does cost to join. Usually they have a fee to join. But if you look at your overall business budget that you set, your yearly budget, you budget in for whatever group you're going to join. And if you join something and it's just not working, then just don't continue with that one, and put that money towards something that you feel like is going to bring you, that networking that you want, to bring more clients, or to even just get you in a group where you can talk to other business owners and how they deal with overall business situations, not just unique to pet grooming.
Yeah. So
I think that's a major way for you to get out there and stoke those fires.
Yep. That's one aspect of this whole night. Another would be for as a business owner. Now, the rights as an employee versus an employer, you have to be OSHA compliant. And I know a lot of shops I go into that I'm doing consulting in, they're not OSHA compliant. And if you have a charge, or you have an employee or somebody, or as an employee, you're in a bad working environment, that you have to know your rights and your legal grounds of that. Now I'm treading. I know this is a treading, a controversial, maybe not so controversial, but when you go back and forth from, well, whose side are you on? Whose side am I on? I'm going to pop in Jennifer here. But whose side? I'm not on anybody's side. I'm on the side of doing what's right.
Right. And that's the only side to be on, right?
You need to be OSHA compliant.
You don't want to get caught without those things.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm sorry I'm late.
You're fine.
I'm sorry I'm late. No, I'm late because I've been out with my mother. I don't know if everybody knows, but my mother has Alzheimer's. She's 93. She's been living in a senior facility. Just moved in 6 weeks ago with me in my home. And we were out on a walk, and I just lost track of time. I push her around in her wheelchair when I get home from work in the evenings. So I have no makeup on or anything.
That's okay.
Don't worry about it.
And you know what? Life is too short. Take advantage of that. That is way more important than being on time for this.
No, it is so precious. These moments with her are so precious. So precious.
Absolutely.
Yep.
The
Totally.
moments with you are precious as well. And I loved having
I
lunch
know.
with Melissa.
Hey, you guys, that picture of you at lunch in Pasadena.
Oh,
So
thanks.
wonderful. That was the first time
Judy.
you met, huh?
We've never met face to face.
Yeah, it was really great. I love it.
We had a really nice
She's
time.
even more adorable and charming and wise and wonderful in person than she is on screen.
I liked the hair, Melissa. The hair.
You know me, Dara. This is my natural hair. It's there. It's barely there. There's not a lot of it.
So cute.
I
that's
rock
the most natural looking. That's the
hair
most natural looking wig I've ever seen.
And the wigs and the ponytails and
it's adorable.
I mean, it's just fun. It's just an extension of fun.
Yep.
Life's too boring to have short nails and crappy hair, and I like the lashes. When you're extra, you're extra.
Too short to not have racehorses.
That's right. If you like
with the glasses and the hair stuff, you're like Frenchie in the movie Grease.
She is.
I like what I like, and I'm Popeye. I am who I am. I am what I am.
So I don't know what I've missed so far, but I did want to tell everybody about the PGC test I took today.
All right. Can we come back to that?
Yes, come back to it. Absolutely. So finish what you were doing
with that, because we were on a roll. So
yeah,
we
just got a Facebook user saying something,
yes.
Dara, too. So you might want to address their question.
Yeah. So
we're talking employees. We're talking how to just basically how to create that handbook, but you have to be in compliance with OSHA. You have to be in compliance with your state laws and your federal regulations.
County and city.
County,
county, city. Thank you.
County
yeah.
and city. No, all of them.
There is in Cook County where I live. There is a minimum wage law now. There is mandatory sick time law now. Mm-hmm. There is in my village, there's a business license requirement that has obligations attached to that. So
that's another thing. If you live in not an inner city, but a village or a smaller community inside a larger community that you're your own, you've got to know everything and comply with from the inside out.
So this Facebook user that is in South Alabama, that is on a commission-based business, that most of this contractor, did you guys talk about independent contractor yet?
So no, we didn't go in that direction. We can jump in there because
I think that's something we need to address because that's a huge thing in our business.
It is. And every state is different. And I think California and Massachusetts are a lot tighter on their rules.
And Illinois and all of the
Arizona is too. They pretty much said there is no independent contractor unless you're literally leasing your own space, and that's it. But
I think you've got to look at and go to and see there are 20 questions that's put out.
That's what I was going to point people to. The federal website.
Federal, and it's
IRS website.
Can you put that link up for them, Dara?
I'm gonna try to. I don't know.
Basically, the IRS, while you're looking for it, the IRS
service
sets out a list of 20 questions that you have to ask yourself to see if you legally qualify, and that's only at the federal level. That doesn't help you in a state like California or Illinois or all the other states that are very protective of the working employees. You have some states that are more friendly toward employers and some that are more friendly toward employees. And I think sometimes it falls in the red state, blue state category. But these 20 questions around things like, who collects the money, who sets the hours, who keeps the database, that kind of stuff. So basically in Illinois.
This Facebook, whoever Facebook user is, you need to definitely do this that these two ladies are talking about right now, because she is a DBA, her own DBA, working in a groom salon. So you need
probably
to
illegal. That's probably illegal, because one of the criteria is if you are working.
Okay, she said she already looked at that.
Business X, and you're working inside a business that also does X, then you can't be an independent contractor. You have to be an employee. If you work in business Y that does Y and you do X, then you can probably do this. But like I can
food, like all they have is like pet retail, and you have the grooming, you run the grooming.
Anything. I mean, well, I don't know, that you would have to leave that to your state. You'd have to look at your state. But in my state, in a business where I have pet, retail, daycare, grooming, I cannot hire anybody as an independent contractor who does any of those things. I can only hire a plumber, an electrician, a painter. I can hire those people as independent contractors. I can hire people to rebuild my floors, but I cannot hire anybody that works in the same business that I am.
So basically, generally speaking, what you're saying is that a 1099 contractor is somebody that we hire on a part-time basis to come in, do a job, and they leave. They finish that job and then they go.
Right.
So, but we fall on the lines with that cosmetology board. And again, every state
in New Hampshire.
Yeah, because I've done a lot, and even my accountant has said I've gone back and forth. I've had 2 different accountants in New Hampshire and 1 out of state, and I'm sticking with my out of state accountant. Just saying. They have only one of them has told me that a 1099 contractor as a groomer in our state is illegal. The other 2 have said, if you do it right, it's okay. Doing it right means that table is theirs. Nothing is supplied. Everything is taken into consideration. They bring in their own shampoo. They bring in their own conditioners, their products, their equipment, their dryer. The only thing that's supplied to them is a table and the tub. They have to schedule their own appointments.
Why would anybody want to do that?
Because I don't know. I'm not saying.
Okay, let me just tell you why you might want. Any groomer would want to think twice about this, especially in this day and age when groomers are in such high demand, where you can write your own ticket wherever you want to go, basically. So why would anybody pay their own taxes and do their own matching that an employer is supposed to do for them? You're being taken advantage of, my friends. For the most part, it is seen by the majority of people in the majority of states and the majority of governmental positions. I've even had state treasury agents tell me, we're on to you groomers.
Yeah,
this is something that your industry has been known for doing massively illegally in the past. You understand that if you get caught breaking the law on this, the fines start at $40,000 plus all the back taxes that you owe. Now, this is what my CPA has told me, and he came with me to speak. The risk of penalty, if you don't get this right, is quite severe. And it's not just on the person that owns the business, it's on you, the person participating in it. Plus, if you don't pay every tax that you should, if you don't do your own Social Security, I ended up, this is a quick story I'm going to tell it because I wrote an article about this for Groomer to Groomer about this independent contractor illegal, this misclassification. And there's a great Facebook group, Groomers Misclassified 1099. Join that group if you want more information about it. But basically, I worked 2 days to fill in at a grooming shop for a friend of mine who's friends with the owner of this grooming shop, and they had a groomer that was gone for a weekend, and I had to last minute fill in on a weekend. And I said, okay, I'll do it. And I groomed next to this wonderful groomer. Her name was Cindy. She had been there at this shop for 29 years. I said, wow, 29 years in one place. You are amazing. I bet you're, like me in your 50s. At that time, I was in my 50s. Now I'm in my 60s, getting ready to retire. You must be looking forward to that. Yeah, and she's got to get knee surgery, she said. I said, so do you have health? Is your knee surgery going to be covered by your health care? Oh, I don't have health care. I said, well, at least, maybe you've got like one of those retirement account programs, something like that going on. No, I'm going to start saving for retirement pretty soon, though. She's 57 years old. She'd been working there 29 years. I said, have you put anything aside for retirement? What she says, well, I figure I'm going to get Social Security. I said, oh, good. You've been paying into Social Security all these years. And she goes, you have to pay into it? And I thought at that moment, oh my God, this woman had been paid cash under the table for 29 years. They told her she was an independent contractor, but they never even gave her a 1099. And
I don't think the person, if somebody's a 1099, they're going to give it to me as the business owner, not give it to them.
Right. But they never told her that she needed to do any paperwork. They just said, well, you're an independent contractor. We're going to pay you cash. And she never put anything aside. She thought, and obviously she wasn't well informed, she thought that she was going to be getting Social Security, that was an automatic thing in the United States. It's not. So if you are an independent contractor, you've got to pay your own Social Security. You've got to do your own workman's comp, your own unemployment,
Medicare,
your own. Yeah.
Why would you do that? Your taxes every year. You have to.
There are a million groomers who will hire you legally. And do you know how most employers that do this illegally get caught? They end up getting in a row with an employee who leaves, and then that employee reports them to the IRS for breaking the law.
Which is how employees get employers in trouble when they're not OSHA compliant, because it's that vicious circle of, you piss me off, now I'm going to throw you under the bus.
Exactly.
So why give them, I don't understand why even give them the opportunity to do that. Just be compliant. I mean, I had to experience this on a much grander scale with a company that is now defunct that I worked for, that refused to pay employees and wanted to keep them as independent contractors. And for 5 years, I fought with them trying to get it right until the groomers got together and sued them. And they wound up going out of business.
I'm going to go back to a Facebook user she said they only supply the tub, water, and electric. So you pay a monthly rental and you schedule your own grooming appointments. You collect 100% of the money and you purchase all of your supplies.
But she said up in her other post that she was paid commission.
Yeah. So no, you can't be paid.
Can't be paid anything.
Yeah. So if you're being paid commission, you're not an independent contractor.
Right.
You're an employee.
Yeah.
So here's another one of those 20 question rules from the IRS. Who collects the money from the customer? Do you? Because if you're the independent contractor, you take the money. These are your clients. They're not the shop's clients. They are your clients. Mm-hmm. If you are doing it legally in the very few states where you may be able to still try to get away with this, but understand that majority of the country, this is not okay. It's a tax dodge. The laws are getting tighter every year. And there's no reason for any groomer to ever accept this. This is old school in our industry.
And it's different in the cosmetology world because they are specifically set up for it.
And they collect the money. She's saying that they pay her 50% and they collect the money. So that's an illegal situation.
And if they're scheduling the dogs, then as an independent contractor, you do 100% of the work and you pay them rent.
You work your own hours. You do all your own advertising.
And you have a key to the facility. And you come and go as you please, and nobody else is doing anything for you.
You collect the money from your clients.
Right.
Yep.
But it has to be in a state that allows that. It has to be in a state that allows that. And most states, you have to be not in the same line of work as the business that you're doing this in. And in many states, I don't know how many, but more than half, you have to be incorporated to be an independent contractor. In Illinois, in California, in many other states, if you are an independent contractor, you have to be a corporation,
Right.
not a
An
DBA.
LLC. Right.
So she asked, LLC or an S Corp or a C Corp.
How do you change things? How do you change things? The way you change things is by, it's basically you have an accountant that's filing your taxes, and your accountant is the one who does that. But most people go and do TurboTax themselves, which isn't going to flag anything. And even go into an HR block, it's not going to flag anything. Those are major.
I think what she's saying is, I'm assuming it's a she, that in South Alabama, that you want to know how to change this arrangement with your boss. You go to them and say, you either hire me as a salaried, either hourly wage or a percentage commission employee, or
a W-2 commissioned employee.
Or a W-2 commission with a W-2 where you take out the taxes, you pay, you match my Social Security. You are helping to do this all legally for me so that I can have a future with a retirement plan and healthcare and whatever else you want to work into the deal. But remember, as a groomer right now, you can write your own ticket. You can go other places. You can say, I will leave and go elsewhere unless we can do this legally.
Yeah,
because you have to stand your ground and be strong about it.
When you work with when anyone works in that capacity and you allow that, then you're allowing them to really shortchange you as the worker. You have no protections under the law because you're working illegally and you're agreeing to work that way.
You're subject to tax penalties and criminal penalties.
Absolutely. Yeah,
just as the employer is.
Yep.
And if you're found to be a tax dodger, you could do prison time.
Yep.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news.
The only thing I always remember this is that, look at Al Capone. Everybody knows who Al Capone is. They know everything that, that man is famous for. Gangster. But the only thing they could ever get him for was tax evasion. Yep. That's what he spent the rest of his life.
Killed a million people.
Killed a million people.
Put him in jail. They finally got him.
Put him in jail, and he died in jail, and they got him on tax evasion. Murdered. No, he wasn't. He died of syphilis.
Syphilis to the brain.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's like a thing for me.
I'm from Chicago. I know these things.
Yeah, and see, I love anything that's like has to do with the like the mafia and gangs and all that kind of stuff is like one of my history weird stuff.
Figures.
Yes.
In our history.
So, but that's the only thing that they could ever get him on. So believe me, the government, they don't play around. You could do a lot of things, but don't take Uncle Sam's money because he's going to come after you, and they don't play. They just do not play.
And it's more likely that you're going to be caught by your state or by your county than by the feds right off the bat. But all it takes is one person reporting you, and that's it. You're screwed, blued, and tattooed, as they say. So
I'm sharing a link. It's an older link, but it's a booth rental, legal, and IRS compliance. So we'll see. It was done in 2015. I'm sure there's new ones.
I think the laws have changed since then. Did you find the 20 questions?
No, I'm looking for that. And all
that's businesscon.org. I'm going to actually right off the bat say that's a 6-year-old website that's privately run. I think what you want to do is go to the IRS, and actually what you can do if you want to know your state laws, your county laws. I mean, Melissa suggested a great suggestion: get an account and give somebody to give you some opinion. But the best thing you could do is just call your state, call the State Department of your revenue, treasury, whatever they call it, and or you can call your State Department of Commerce and ask them what the rules are. And you don't have to even identify yourself. You should just find out what the laws are, and don't ever live and work in violation of the law, especially when there are so many groomers that are hiring right now and that will pay you sign-on bonuses and that will pay to move you into a new location so you're closer to where their business is. And all of these benefits that are now available because people really want good groomers. So there's no reason for you to shortchange yourself or to put yourself at risk in any way. You should work for somebody. If you are not the owner of the business, you want to work for somebody that pays your Social Security, workman's comp, unemployment, towards retirement, gives you, hopefully healthcare, or like in my case, our business is so small, we pay towards their healthcare payments. You should be with somebody who treats you like a real employee. And then if there's some tragedy like a pandemic that hits, you are protected. Every one of my employees for the 6 weeks we were shut down got almost the equal in their wages in unemployment benefits because they worked for me, where we paid for all that. So,
and that's important. Those are important things that, that's the whole reason that they're in place. So it just is. That's a big thing with grooming, is that we need to start to shine light on these things. I actually know a business owner here in Arizona that was doing commissions and such, and she got a big slap for that, and she almost lost her business. And she's the first one to step up, and she will say, do not do this. This is, if you're going to open a business or you're going to work for a business, inform yourself what your rights are, and how are you functioning within this business legally. So it is a hot topic for sure.
So this Facebook user just said that they use their life savings, meaning that you used your life savings to set up this independent DBA inside this other person's business. Is that what?
I found it.
So Facebook user, whoever you are, private message, any of us, and we'll talk to you. If you find me on Facebook, go into either my Groomer's Guide book or into my Groomer's Guide group, or private message me on Facebook, or I'm sure Melissa and Dara would talk to you as well. So just
absolutely.
Yeah.
Sounds like you might need some private help.
I just put the 20-point checklist.
Oh, there it is.
Good.
Okay.
Yep.
That's it.
Good.
Yep. That's from irs.gov. So right there. W-2 versus 1099.
Oh, no, to survive during the pandemic, because she can't claim unemployment.
Oh, how do we survive during the
No, that's how That's how she spent her life savings.
Spent her life savings to survive during the pandemic.
During the pandemic,
and if you had been
claim unemployment, right?
Yeah, because if you had been with a real employer, you would have been covered.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they did open it up to anyone.
Yeah, you could have gotten the PUA, the other one as well, but that's a shame though, because that's one of the things that is put into place as an employee, that if something like that happens, you can claim unemployment.
Yeah, but she could have gone too had she known, and this is just speculative, but had she known and was a real 1099 or a contractor, she could have gone and gotten a PPP loan and been paid and forgiven for that, because that's what that was for too. So but you had to have
that's
the
documentation. That's what I was going to say. That's the thing. That's why it's important. If numbers aren't your thing and you're not that kind of person, then make yourself a business budget so you can hire the people you need to keep your business on track.
You can't wear the hats and everything. Oh, gosh,
nope.
I know that.
Yeah, it just gets to be overwhelming. That's those people's jobs to know all that stuff.
Yeah.
Remember that we are in an exciting time for our industry. Groomers knowing your own worth is so important right now because there are 25 to 30% more dogs in the US than there were a year ago. Those numbers, we documented all this. I wrote an article in Groomer to Groomer about this. These are real statistics, and it's somewhere between, depending on whose numbers you believe, a fourth to a third more dogs in 1 year in the United States alone. And this is also happening worldwide. And there's not a fourth to a third more vets or groomers. We are in demand. Don't undersell yourself. If you are a groomer, you can go anywhere and pretty much command whatever terms that you want. And you should make sure that you are paid as a legal employee so that you are not in trouble with the law and that you get to actually keep the money and you get to plan for your future. You get to be covered for emergencies, and you get to build your Social Security. When I think of that poor gal, Cindy, 29 years cash under the table, thinking that she was still going to get Social Security that she never paid into, I literally cried for 2 hours when I went home that night. Because my heart broke for her, because she was in her 50s and having knee problems and looking to hopefully retire soon. And she had nothing.
Right.
She had nothing, no savings, no Social Security, nothing. It's
even
really
if you
sad.
get Social Security, it's all based on how much you pay in. And if you're only bringing in $30,000 a year,
not enough.
You're paying a lot of Social Security, and it's not going to give you enough to live off of when you retire. When you stop working, you're going to be working until you're dead.
Because she was being paid cash,
Security.
and because she was being paid cash, she spent it every month. You know, they paid her in dollar bills every day at the end of the day. They'd sit and count it out. So then she'd go and spend it, and that was it. She didn't even have bank accounts.
Wow.
And they're making that much harder to do anymore. You have to have a debit card. You have to have a bank card. You even have to have credit cards. It used to be if you had bad credit, whatever, you could slide. It was very easy to be under the radar. But anymore, they have really expanded that radar.
Yeah. Yeah, just listen to your phones talking to you.
Yeah.
You have
look at your phones listening to you.
I was just going to say that. I was talking to my husband the other day about how I'm deaf from being a groomer for so long and my hearing is so bad, blah, blah, blah. The other day, he said I got mail in the mail that was for hearing aids. And he's all, you got mail? And I'm like, we just talked about that the other day. Yep. It is just crazy. You get on mailing lists and it's so, yeah, Big Brother really is watching you.
Constantly.
Yes.
But if this is about I loved the way you set this Tonight Show up, Dara, that this is, there are obligations and rights. If you are an employer, if you are an employee, there are rights and obligations that go with that. The only way around that in this world is to work for yourself, by yourself, which groomers can also do.
Yeah,
groomers actually have more choices than a lot of people. My husband's a teacher. He doesn't have the opportunity to go out on his own. He works for a university. So having
sure if you are doing that and you are going to be independent, then do it the right way and set up an LLC or an S corp or something. Don't just do a little DBA. Right, that's not going to protect you. You need to create that. And I can't stress this enough. You have to have a business plan. You have to know what money you're putting out there so that you know what money is coming in.
And budget.
And a business budget and all that kind of stuff. And these are things, that Dara coaches on, I coach on. So
did I share a wonderful resource about that?
Yes, absolutely.
Besides accessing Dara, who I highly recommend, is a great business teacher in our industry. There is at score.org.
We talked about that.
Yeah, we talked about Score. Yes.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yep.
Service Corps of Retired Executives. They will help you for free.
Yep.
They will give you your performers, your paperwork. They'll help you plan your budget. They'll sit down and coach you. They're awesome. And it doesn't cost a penny. It's amazing.
Right.
And
that's
they're
even
wonderful.
better.
Leaders helping business.
And I learned a lot starting up in 2004 and 2005 before I opened my business, going to the SCORE chapters and utilizing every bit on top of a business degree.
For free. Yes.
Yeah, you just,
I
mean,
can
and
see you,
things
Dara,
change.
when you retire. Ha ha. If you're ever going to retire one day, you're probably going to be a SCORE volunteer. I could see you doing that. If you have time.
I kind of do it now.
Yeah,
You do.
Because there's not you know, and it's tough because our industry, we're so still in that going underpaid. I mean, if you're not in that $60,000-$70,000, you're kind of falling under the poverty. You're in that poverty, lower middle class. And, you know, to come as a business owner and say, I need help, but I can't afford it, you know, and then for me, you know, that's why lawyers do their pro bono work, and there's so much of that too, but they're getting paid by the state to cover that.
Right.
Now I'm trying to coach and talk to groomers that are like, well, I can't afford, but I need help. I hear ya, but are ways.
But you can afford it. I see groomers all the time. If you can spend $8 on a coffee every morning, you can put that money away and, you know, come up with a budget to help you build your business.
Yep.
You know, if
take
you
your $10 and $15 cash nail trims and put them, use
aside.
That. Don't not add that in as income, but take that cash and maybe not put it into your account, or put it into a savings account for consulting and training. Business consulting and training. I think that is the number one lack in our industry.
Absolutely.
And
I think it's because we are just now emerging as a profession where, you know, this is one of the reasons why I put out the standardized coat types discussion. Right. And, you know, and Melissa, you've been putting out this amazing information about areas that most groomers don't know things about in terms of, you know, therapeutic approaches that people can take. And Dara, you've been this leader in business expertise in our industry. And, you know, it is so important for people to realize that grooming is just, you know, it's been an underground economy for decades.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been mostly women without, you know, who just love dogs, and they picked up a book and a pair of clippers and they just started doing it.
Yeah.
But it is becoming, we now have, just in the last, you know, the last 40 years, we have trade shows, we have certifications. Today I took the PGC World Pet Association.
I was just going to open that
credential. We are going to have a legal, state validated, you know, a objectively tested credential for the first time in our industry. We've got state legislation to license groomers pending on the books, already been filed, just not passed yet, still being negotiated. It's like 19 states have legislation that's been proposed to license groomers. We've got 3 cities that now regulate groomers. We've got county registration ordinances in some places. We are getting noticed. We are becoming a profession. We have to rise up out of the old school ways of doing things on a wing and a prayer.
Phoenix.
Yes. And Michelle's not here to talk about the Master Groomers Council, but that is for our industry to have standards. Yes. And to have standards and practices on that. And so, you know, there's so many of us. When I was in Pasadena, I was talking to I have her card right here. She is one of the owners of West Coast Grooming Academy. So they have 2 locations in California.
Yep.
And I was talking to her, Jessica Johnson. She's a CFMG. we were, talking cats, and we were talking business and all that. And she was just like, we were just going back and forth about how we need standardization, how we actually need these things for the industry, and how it has to come out of the garages and the basements and the back rooms. And we need to start being recognized as employers, like a viable employer and viable employees.
Good career option.
Have her on the show.
Yes.
What?
Will you reach out to her and see if she'll come on the show?
Oh, I was talking to her about it. I told her after probably this week, I'm going to shoot an email because I want her to join us on the Groomers Council.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, on this show.
Oh, yeah. But I talked to her about this show, too.
Start coming together.
Yeah. And they have a wonderful program, two separate schools. They have a wonderful program. They're sanctioned by the state, just like you, Dara. They, and which is wonderful, because that's what I said. I said, I'm always, people that ask me, where can I go to school? The only school that I know right now that's sanctioned by the state is you, Dara. But you're on the other side of the country.
On the other side of the country.
I think actually, I think other schools are sanctioned by the states that they're in. They have to be like Nash.
There are some like Nash and
Merrifield.
But there's, these guys are in California, which is close enough for somebody in my state.
The San Antonio,
right?
She's got
the Illinois Academy of Pet Grooming is going to be when it gets opened in the spring. So
we'll see.
Lisa Herbold and I. Hey,
and that's the thing. If we decided tomorrow that we wanted to go to beauty school, it wouldn't be, you can go to Dara's School of Beauty, and they actually are sanctioned by the state, or you could go to Jennifer's beauty spot and she'll train you, but she has no anything, and she can still train you. No, you have to go to a state sanctioned school. You cannot do it any other way.
No option in the beauty industry.
Right.
That is right.
And so that's how it has to be for us. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. We need to bring this out of the basements and the garages and the, those back rooms, and start to be looked at. I said this when I did my class in Pasadena. I'm all, what would you do if you went to the doctors and you showed, the doctor comes in the room with you. Now you're sitting, they make you wait. You're sitting in that room. And now think of how groomers present themselves. A lot of groomers, not all, but a lot. And the doctor comes in and his pocket is all ripped, hanging off his white jacket. His stethoscope's hanging from, wrong around his neck.
Hair and blood everywhere.
Hair and blood all over his white coat. He's got a baseball cap on backwards, and he comes in and he's like, dirty shoes. And what would you do? Everybody was laughing. But the analogy is true because they've all seen that. I had as many as 500 groomers under me with a large corporation. And I saw groomers coming to work in their pajamas and flip-flops.
No flip-flops.
No flip-flops. No open-toed shoes on the floor. Ever.
Because there is no standardization. There is nothing that says you have to do that. OSHA.
That's called OSHA.
But nobody follows that because they're not held to that standard.
Right. Yeah.
So when we elevate our businesses, because all of us have our own businesses, Dara has the school. Jennifer is going to open a school, and she has an actual business that is a pet care business. Grooming.
We're an award-winning business.
Hey, what are we doing with your school? Am I doing business, and Melissa's doing cats, and Michelle's going to bring in the esthetician, right? We're all going to.
That's it. We're all going to Chicago.
Jennifer's like,
one of the best things about everything that you're saying, Melissa, this is so exactly what's happening. Our industry is finally, we are right on. I mean, I'm a historian, and I've been dabbling in grooming and only full-time the last 7 years, but I've been a part-time groomer for 40 years and a master groomer for 35. And I can tell you, this is historic. What's happening in our industry right now, it's exciting. More and more groomers are going to conferences. They're getting training. They're doing their own continuing education. They're hungry to learn. They want to know the science. They want to know this vast new information that's out there. People are excited they're starting to subscribe to Groomer magazine, which is free. They're going on websites and they're watching videos and they're doing Zoom education, which is now, I think, going to stay with us forever, even as the pandemic hopefully fades. This is a way that we're going to reach more and more groomers. And with all of the pending state efforts to license us and regulate us, we are going to start being treated like the profession that we can be, but we also ourselves have to own that. We have to set these standards for ourselves. We can't agree to work illegally. We can't undersell our own value. We have a skill that is in high demand right now, and everybody should take pride in that. What we do is important. We make better money than a lot of the beauticians that pay all this money to go to school, take the state boards.
You got stats on that? You want that?
Yes, I would like to know that, because when I compare the money I make with, and granted I'm at the peak of my profession, but to the lady that cuts my hair and I cut her dog and we kind of barter with each other. When we look at each other's money, she had to do way more schooling and way more work to keep her license, and I make more than she does by a lot. So
grooming is a very lucrative career choice. Mm-hmm. Tell us, Dara, what are the
what are the statistics?
The statistics are 89% of the hairdressers in the United States make minimum wage.
Oh my God. And the average, I heard this statistic, Dr. Jim Warner of IPG, Linda Easton Warner and Dr. Jim, they run IPG and they do a lot of education. Dr. Jim is a business consultant too, and a doctor. He's a chiropractor. He said that the average groomer salary is in the 30s, the mid 30s. And that's low. That's the starting. That's what I'm saying. To start off, yep. A groomer can be starting off making in the 30,000s a year. And I know groomers in the north suburbs of Chicago that make 60, 90, over 100,000 a year on either commission or salary. And, they work hard.
Location too. Yes. You're not going to make
it
that
does
money
matter.
if you're in a small
But why would you work in a rural area if you can drive a half hour to a city in a suburb and work for better money?
But it's like anything else, it depends on what you're right. It just depends. It depends on what you want from that career.
Yeah, but not everybody is set to say, I want to make $100,000.
Right. No, and not everybody
every day and groom 30 dogs a day, whether or, that might be out there. No, but depending on your area, you do.
Yeah, right. And it just depends. Again, like we're standing on that cusp.
Yeah.
Owners are starting to understand that it is not viable to have your groomers do, 15 to 18 dogs a day, 20 dogs a day, because you're going to fry those people, So they're starting to understand the dynamic of choosing a price point that actually enables them to pay their employees correctly, take care of all the things, lawfully that they need to do for that business. And so in doing that, they educate their local community to why our business has to evolve from, paying Susie under the table over here in, $20 bills, and it's $35 for a haircut versus, Mary's grooming salon over here where everybody is employees and she is taking care of everything legally. Mm-hmm. So, that's part of the elevation that we're starting to see. And those people that were like, well, I could go down the street and get this cheaper, blah, 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 blah. those people are going to be eventually, right, they're going to be on the outskirts more and more. They're going to be marginalized more and more, because as groomers, we don't want to work like that. And as business owners, we don't want to get caught with our pants down, by Uncle Sam. So it is, and just
value yourselves, everybody.
Value
absolutely. Yeah. So I was just going to say, when I did the class in Pasadena, I just was amazed at how many young groomers there were. Like, there were still
they came to your class.
A few. Yeah, quite a few that were our age, that were like, finally, I decided I wasn't going to work like that anymore, and I refused to do this anymore. And then you have these younger ones that are coming up behind us that never even thought, like, I won't work like that. I won't do that. So
and a lot of it, and I just actually read from Barkley, because I was at Groom Expo West too, and I love to read, how they assess the people attending. Most of the groomers now coming to these conferences that grooming, that Barkley puts on, or World Pet, there's a lot of them. A lot are new first-time groomers that have never gone to school. They're hungry to learn, and that's so exciting to be a part of that. Well, I'm sorry I came in late, you guys.
Oh, that's okay. I actually met a girl that was there at my holistic class, and she was 15 years old. And she was with two other women that were basically, training her. One was a family member, but she was just starving for stuff. She just was taking everything she could possibly find to learn. And that's what we need.
Yeah.
Welcome, Melissa. Melissa in the comment section. Thank you, Dara, for giving her these links that she needed and she didn't know where to go to.
Great.
Yeah.
Melissa, if you and I'm not sure if you're the same Facebook user, if you got that, but either one of you, questions, reach out to me. You can get me on the Pet Pro Educators. You can get me on the whole Pet Grooming Academy. Find me there. I'm more than happy to help. Next month, we're wrapping this up. Oh, who's excited? I know. I think there's two people that are going to be really excited. And I think we're going to have Chrissy on a couple times next month. So if you don't know Chrissy, Chrissy Newmeyer-Smith, because we are talking observing behavior. So we've got 4 weeks, psychology of the canine, considerations of working on a living creature, development stages and related issues, and safety as it relates to behavioral issues.
Nice.
So I know.
Don't miss the August Groomers Cut.
Oh, Michelle. Yes. Michelle's got her background with Heather Beck from Canine Lifeline, which is amazing. So that's on my bucket list. Yeah.
And let me just put in a last plug about, I took the PGC test from World Pet Association today, and it was a really uplifting experience for me. I mean, I feel like I did, fine on it. I knew the answers right off the bat to most questions, and that makes me feel good. After 40 years in the industry, I would hope that I would know. But what I loved the best about it was that it really was a legitimate, okay, we are really testing for basic knowledge, and it was all primarily focused on safety and doing right by the dogs. And I love that.
That's awesome.
It's a really proud and exciting time to be a groomer. And I hope everybody also in August will come to the All-American here in Chicago. And it's going to be a great show. It's the longest. Yay! It's the longest running grooming show. Are you coming, Dara?
Nope.
Nope.
I'll see you in Dallas.
Yes,
we'll see you in Dallas. But at the Pet Pro Classic. But I'm telling you, it's an exciting time to be a groomer. The All-American is the longest running grooming trade show in history. It started right here in Chicago, the very first ever grooming gather of groomers to do education and the invention of grooming contests and creative grooming all happened right here at the All-America. And it's a very historic show. It's big, it's classy, it's going to be awesome this year. And so please, everybody, go to aagroom.com and check that out, and PM any of us if you need more, just sort of private business. Yeah.
All right. Very good. Well, thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you, Melissa.
And We got
Thinking of you, Michelle.
Yes, Michelle.
Yeah, we miss you, Michelle.
Bad weather, so all right. We'll see you guys next week, and hopefully we'll have Chrissy on. I'm going to do our ending because I think I got good service tonight.
All right.
See you guys next week.
You look good. You sound good. I love our closing credits.